And joining us now to discuss what may happen in court today is Professor Anna Kaminsky.
She's the director of the Criminal Defense Clinic at New York Law School and managing attorney of NYLS Legal Services. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see both of you.
So Mr. Penny's already turned himself in and was charged. What can we expect to happen in court today?
So today is his arraignment, and so what will happen is the judge is going to make sure that he's represented, that he has an attorney. We know that. The judge is also going to make sure that he is aware of the charges. So that's when we're going to have that unsealing of the indictment, and we'll be able to see what the grand jury decided the charges against him should be. And then finally, the judge will issue what's called a securing order, which is really just a fancy way of saying the judge will make a determination with respect to bail.
And can you tell us what it means to be indicted?
So what it means to be indicted is that the case has been presented, the prosecutor has made the decision to present the case, to call witnesses, to present evidence to the grand jury, and that the grand jurors voted and found reasonable cause to believe that a particular felony was committed. And in this case, we believe that that's going to be manslaughter in the second degree. It may be criminally negligent homicide, which is a lower felony offense, or it may be murder in the second degree, which is a significantly more serious felony offense.
So Mr. Penny is charged, as you said, with second-degree manslaughter. What does that mean? What penalty could he face if convicted?
So manslaughter in the second degree is a Class C felony. And what that means is that he's facing a maximum of 15 years in state prison if he either pled guilty to that charge or was found guilty of that charge after a trial.
Now, in his previously released statement, Mr. Penny said he never intended to harm Jordan Neely. How much does his intent matter given his actions resulted in Mr. Neely's death?
So his intent is extremely important. Really what we're talking about when it comes to making a determination about someone's culpability is their mens rea, or their culpable mental state. And so in this case, his mens rea, his culpable mental state, is going to be key. With respect to manslaughter in the second degree, there actually doesn't have to be an intent to kill someone. That actually elevates it to a more serious offense. Murder in the second degree, murder in the first degree, that's where you see an intentional act. But here, if it's manslaughter in the second degree, what the jurors were considering, the grand jurors were considering, and what a jury would consider when determining whether or not to find someone guilty would be whether or not the person acted recklessly. And that's all has to do with the person's mental state, that culpable mental state.
And Anna, last question before we let you go. Penny's attorneys have stated they plan to, quote, aggressively defend him at trial. Obviously, we would hope they would try to aggressively defend him. But what is going to be their best strategy, in your opinion?
Well, certainly, I've said this before. We've obviously seen that very horrific video, but there's so much that we don't know yet. We really don't know about what happened before. We only have Mr. Penny's description of what happened before, but we, the public, don't know what other witnesses are going to say happened before. And those moments leading up to the chokehold are going to be critical. So figuring out what happened there and his attorneys digging into that is going to be very important. The pretrial motions that they file, that's just a fancy way of saying what they asked the judge to do with respect to the case, taking a look at what was presented to the grand jury. Those are all the kind of things that they're going to be digging into as they defend this case. So it's not just what occurs at trial, it's everything that they do leading up to the trial.
New York Law School Professor Anna Kaminsky, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Stay with CBS New York for updates on the case later today.